We're in Thailand to drive what is a very different city. Check this out, EHEV. It's Honda's full-on hybrid with its iMMD system, and what it promises is fantastic fuel economy. We're here to tell you just how efficient it is. We'll do a bit of a test and what it's like to drive. This car will be in India soon. Now first up, let's quickly understand what exactly is different under the hood, and there's a lot. Consisting of a full-on hybrid system that uses two large electric motors instead of a gearbox and a large voluminous battery pack in the trunk with loads and loads of orange high voltage cabling that goes to and fro, it is very different under the hood. Also, since it has 160% more torque than the petrol, it also gets rear disc brakes. Question is, just how efficient is it likely to be in the real world? We actually did a test. To begin with, we want to see just how efficient it is. Now, this test won't be to Autocar test standards. You won't have the same average speed, the same fuel and the same conditions, but we still want to know just how efficient it is. Now we've just topped up here and zeroed the trip, and then we'll top the tank up again before we return the car, and that'll give us a quick figure. Stick around for that. But what's it like to drive? There's no easy answer because it's both very familiar and very different, both at the same time. Now this is a city as we know it. It feels familiar. It drives in a semi-familiar manner, but Honda has changed it fundamentally in a couple of areas. Under the hood is a 1.5-litre petrol that puts out just 98 horsepower and runs a more efficient Atkinson cycle. This charges the battery in the back. The city hybrid, however, runs as an electric or an EV for the most part, actually driven by the strong 109 horsepower electric motor. This clearly is no mild hybrid. While max combined power isn't disclosed, the maximum combined torque stands at 253 Nm, the engine making 127 Nm and the electric motor 253 on its own. Now, while you can't manually put it into EV mode, what's nice is that it does whine along quietly without the engine starting up pretty often. Now I'm doing 25, 27 km an hour, around the speed you do in the city. And in this mode, it acts like a pure EV. It draws energy from the battery, it ambles along nicely, and it's only when you dip your foot down a bit further that the combustion engine actually starts up. While eco mode does need a fair amount of right pedal, once you take it into normal, throttle responses are pretty crisp and it's pretty nice to drive in city traffic. When you use more throttle, the engine tops up the batteries in the rear. The manner in which the city hybrid responds, however, feels distinctly CVT-like, probably why Honda says it has an eCVT. But here, and this is difference number 2, it has no gearbox. Only a pair of electric motors sitting where the gearbox normally is. Remember, an electric car doesn't need a gearbox. It, however, doesn't quite accelerate off the line like an electric. What the eCVT does do nicely, however, is accelerate in steps. Unlike a normal CVT, it won't hold on to one speed, but give you a sort of simulation where it's going through the gears as you go faster and faster. As you pull forward, there's a fair amount of slur, and engine and road speed seldom match. And you do get a bit of wheel spin. The takeoff isn't particularly strong. But once it gets to a certain RPM, yes, the city hybrid then does pull pretty hard. So yes, while the performance is there, access to that power isn't instant. While Honda claim a sub 10 second 0 to 100 time, the city hybrid doesn't feel as quick off the line. So it'll be fascinating to see just how quick it is. What does feel pretty strange, especially since it's a Honda, is the fact that you have no idea what speed the engine is spinning at. All you have is a sort of tachometer, but there are no values to it. So when you put your foot down, you just can't tell what RPM the engine is doing. Post 120 kilometers an hour, Honda actually allows the engine to power the front wheels. This is done by closing a clutch and using a single gear ratio. In fact, the wheels are only spun by the electric motor below 120 kilometers an hour. This also is primarily why the car is so efficient. The engine operates at its peak efficiency around 2000 RPM. Remember, by 4000 RPM, it could be using twice as much fuel. And then around 90% of that electricity produced goes directly to the wheels. What really works well is the adjustable regeneration. Like many hybrid and electric cars, this one also has a B mode, and shift to it and you can use the paddles to step up the level of regeneration. So when I pull back on this one, I can go to level 1, level 2, or the much stronger level 3, and this gives you a bit of extra boost to the battery when you're slowing down. In fact, in the third level of regen, you can almost come to a full stop. Honda has even done a stellar job with the brakes. What Honda has done particularly well is adjust this brake pedal. While there is a lot of regen, when you press it, it has a fair amount of feel, and that's even if you stand on it pretty hard like that. Impressive. Even the transition between regen braking and braking via the discs, normally very difficult to manage, is near seamless. Now the other way the city hybrid is different is once you put on the cruise control, you can activate lane keeping assist, which keeps it within well-defined lanes, and even ask the car to brake for you by adjusting the distance to the vehicle in front. And all in all, it works pretty well. All I need to do is touch the steering occasionally, and like now, the car brakes, maintains the gap. If I need to change the gap, I can do it via this button. And then at times, I need to take control back from the wheel, especially when it can't read some of the lanes. Otherwise, it basically drives like a city, but one that's slightly different because unlike our car, this one hasn't been raised for more ground clearance. Because the ride height is a bit lower here, the straight line stability is particularly good and impressive, and it does stand out in comparison to what we have back home in India. The car's right now sitting at around 120, and it feels absolutely stable and relaxed and not nervous in the least. Handling also feels neater. With the lowered suspension here and the weight of the battery placed low down, the city hybrid actually feels pretty sporty. The steering feels nice and direct, it doesn't roll as much, and it seems to have a fair amount of grip, which actually makes driving this car pretty fun. Yeah, that's pretty nice. And the ride is pretty comfy too. Now, ride comfort on this new generation city is much better, and here it's pretty supple too. So all in all, a comfortable ride, although on some of the sharper bumps you do feel that edge a bit. Now there are some changes inside the cabin as well. So this is a city, so it's familiar on the inside, but there are a couple of things that are different. You get an additional B mode on this gear lever for brake mode, and this car comes with an electric parking brake. What hasn't been upgraded is this screen. It still looks a bit aftermarket. There's no wireless Apple CarPlay, no wireless Android Auto, no wireless charging, and features like cool seats are missing as well. So not much different in the back here. It's comfortable, you get good thigh support, your feet are placed at an angle. That's comfortable too, and the backrest holds you nicely. What is different, however, is this vent for the battery placed on the extreme right. The City Hybrid is also around 110 kilos heavier. Because the battery sits in the boot, there's no spare on this car, just a puncture repair kit. But the car in India will come with a space saver. Boot capacity already down from 506 litres to 410 could drop even further. Also, while this version in Thailand gets the RS trim, we won't be getting that in India. So to answer the question, kitna deti hai, we did a real tank top to tank top test, and this proved to be something of an eye-opener. The City Hybrid returned around 20.8 kpl over approximately 95 kilometers. Pretty unreal. And that in regular Bangkok traffic. Expect an ARAI figure in India of at least 25 to 26 kilometers a litre, making it easily the most efficient car of its size. The City Hybrid will be the first well-specified mass-market strong hybrid to go on sale in India, making it something of a technological trendsetter and a car many will look up to. With the price of petrol climbing above 120 a litre in some cities and expected to go even higher, Honda couldn't have asked for a better time to introduce the car. It's comfortable, the performance is good, the ride is pliant, it drives and handles well, and the biggest plus is the huge jump in fuel efficiency, something owners who do long distances will absolutely love. And then there's the fact that since it's a part EV, it should lend the city plenty of green credentials, also important today. And then there's the fact that this city comes with plenty of driver safety systems. It will be expensive at an expected price of around 19 lakhs, but if you're looking for a comfortable, clean, efficient, technologically advanced sedan and you have something of a stretchable budget, the Honda City Hybrid delivers a unique set of strengths. Thing is, you'll have to get used to answering the question, kitna deti hai?